So I just want to thank you for coming. I also wanted to remind you that you can put in your questions and comments. There's a Q&A section in the Zoho webinar panel there. I will either answer those, later on during the demo. Marshall here is also here to man any questions that he can answer immediately. And let's get started. So while people are joining in, I thought I would launch a poll just to get some see where the viewers are with how familiar you are with Zoho Desk. I have how familiar are you with Zoho Desk already? 1 through 5. One doesn't quite fit you. Do the best you can. Just wait a few minutes for some more people to come on. Thanks for those that are participating. Appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and publish this. So basically, we had about 3 people respond. We had 2 people that say they use Desk regularly, and then we have 1 that is familiar with it but has never used it before. Thanks, everyone. I have a feeling we're going to have more people joining that have never used it. I do want to remind people, especially last-minute joiners, there is a slide deck and a pricing matrix sheet in the materials area you can download. This is also being recorded, and I will email that out to you this afternoon. For anyone that has never worked with me before, my name is Kelly Solomon. I'm a Zoho consultant here at Aspen Tech, going on 5.5 years as a CRM consultant and marketing automation consultant. I happen to be our in-house power user or power agent of Zoho Desk. I believe most of you have worked with Aspen Tech, but just in case, we are a CRM consulting company that's been around for over 25 years, supporting small, medium, and some medium plus size businesses throughout North America and some international as well recently. We're based in Novi, Michigan, and we have about 10 employees here. So what are we doing today? Some basics of what is Desk, some basic terminology for you new to Desk people. Who has access to Zoho Desk? What's new? For some of you regular users, if you logged into Desk today, it probably looks very different for you. They rolled out a lot of new features this morning. We did not plan that in advance. We did not know the release date. We scheduled this about 2 months in advance. So give me some grace if they move some features around and I have to, look for the new spot for them. Appreciate your patience there. And then obviously the bulk of today, I'm going to go into demo, do some basics, and I'm going to cover some things that I would say less used features in Desk, but are great. And then I'm going to go at it from like the end user perspective, and then we're going to flip it and say, well, okay, what does this look like inside Desk for an agent? And then, some basics on how to customize Desk to meet your company's needs. And, keep in mind that when I demo these things, you can pick and choose what you do or don't want to use. And there's lots of customizations even within that. Okay. And then at the very end, we'll also have just 10, 15 minutes reserved just for Q&A. And just to remind you, especially if you're late coming on, there is a Q&A section where you can put in your questions at any time. For any of you that have never used Zoho Desk, the basic software category that Zoho Desk falls into is the quote-unquote help desk category. Here's a screenshot from G2. Zoho Desk is one of the leaders in this software segment. I will be transparent here. Its primary competitor would be Zendesk. Zendesk is actually up there in the top. It's just a little covered there by that little bubble. Don't want to be misleading. So some basics, especially for you brand new to desk people, some terminology, so this makes sense to you. In the traditional sense, Zoho Desk is a help desk type ticketing system. So think of anytime you've had an issue with your computer, maybe you have an outsourced IT company, you need help with Outlook, you email your IT support, you most likely get an automated response back saying, here's your ticket number and so forth. And then they start emailing back and forth. Most likely those companies are using a ticketing based system, either Zoho Desk or one of a similar type program. Also, if you've ever contacted Zoho themselves, a lot of these things I'm demoing are going to look very familiar to you because they are using it, at least the base version of what I'm showing you, probably a very customized version of it. So basically, a person or contact will request information. Now, what that is, whether it's like an issue, like I mentioned, Outlook issues, a product issue, but it could also be customer support. Maybe they need help with their renewal, they need a password reset, or you could also use this for, sales type things as well. Traditionally, this type of software is used for external contacts. So somebody outside of your company. That said, we have set up some clients to use this for their internal employees. So like they have an internal IT department and they want their employees to use this to request certain things. Each request that comes in is called a ticket. Tickets are assigned to an agent or a team of agents. Now, agents can interact with users through various channels, such as a phone call, email, instant messaging, and more. We're going to get into more of that later on. And I just want to point out if you're more of an IT type environment, there is what I call a sister program called Zoho Assist, where you can remote into another user's machine. It's not included, it's an add-on. I will say that with Zoho One, Zoho Assist is included. If you're on CRM Plus, it is not included. So it might be a reason for you to bump up to Zoho One to get that. And obviously, as these tickets come in, you want to track, where those tickets are. How fast is your response time? How happy are your clients? Are they coming in? Are they leaving happier than they came, or are they leaving just as disgruntled as they come in? And we get some reporting and some tracking tools. So who has access to Desk? The short answer is basically everyone does. If you're on Zoho One subscription, it is included. You just need to go to your Zoho One panel, enable the app as a whole. Then you can start, assigning a couple users in your Zoho One panel to have access to Zoho Desk. If you are on Zoho CRM Plus, Zoho Desk is included, but like I mentioned, the assist portion is not included. A little information about pricing, because technically you could buy Desk completely separate, on its own, like you don't have CRM or any other Zoho products. You could technically buy it yourself. And there is also a totally free version of Zoho Desk, but it's very feature gated. So a lot of the things I'll show you today, you're not going to see in the totally free version. But if you want to get the feel for what it is, feel free. I would suggest if you're like a Zoho user right now, use a Gmail account or something. Don't use your full work account so you don't have problems later. So how are tickets created? And I put there or not created. So back in the day, my very, very, very first job, I worked as quality control at a manufacturing plant, and our big focus was on preventing quality issues, either preventing them outright or catching them as soon as possible, and making the damage as little as possible. So I kind of took that approach with this entire presentation today. Of okay, what are some of the tools that Zoho Desk has that can stop tickets or help your clients before it gets into a queue of questions for your agents, or especially those repeated type questions, password resets or things like that. So and I'm going to get into this much more detail in the demo, but some of the things you can use for prevention is setting up a help center with Desk. A help center can have multiple different configurations and portions in it that you can choose to use or not use. You can have a knowledge base or like a frequently asked questions area. You can also use a community where people can post their own questions, other users can reply, or your agents can reply to those questions. Some more interactive thing, and there are some moderation features in there as well. You can also, let's say they go to your help center, they find a KB article but doesn't quite meet their needs, or they don't understand it, they can still make a ticket from the help center as well. Now, let's say there could be other channels the way that tickets come into the system. And some of those other ones, other than the help center, like I just mentioned, would be maybe having a web form on your website. You make up the form in Desk, you get the iframe code, and you put that on your website, and someone fills that out, and it creates a ticket in Desk. You can also do instant messaging. That's a fairly new one that just came out that I'm going to demo really briefly today. You can also do some social media things, like when people private message you on, say, Facebook. I'm going to show it today. And obviously, people may be calling in on the phone. There is some phone integrations with Zoho Desk. I'm not really going to go over that today, but just know they're out there. And obviously, then there's email support as well. So one thing I like to get out of the way, especially for the beginners, is the idea of departments in Desk. And this is going to come up a lot. When I'm doing the demo, you're going to see this drop downs. I'm going to be going back and forth, and this drop downs in the top right-hand corner pretty frequently. So you can set up multiple departments in Desk. So let's say you have two very distinct product lines, and maybe you have different agents who, some agents support product line A, some agents support product line B, and then maybe there's a little bit of overlap between those two. So you can say, okay, I want this department to focus on product A, I want this department to focus on product B, and then basically as soon as you make it a department, almost all of your settings from there on can be customized by department. So the settings you do for product line A might be different from the settings and the forms and the workflows and the automations that you do for product line B. Now, another way to do the departments is by your work groups. Like maybe you want a department for your sales and marketing, like I mentioned, social media here, and web forms. And maybe a second department would be like quality and support, or some sort of hybrid of these two, product line plus sales and marketing or something like that. Just a highlight of some things you can do to save your agents time. There's little like snippets. So, let's say your agent has something they type frequently, like those, there's snippets to help them save time, so they don't have to manually type those out every time. You can also make formal templates in Desk. You can create workflows. You can also make custom functions using Deluge. You can also automate a lot of things. You can automate a ticket assignment based on, the name of the product someone selects, or based on other criterias, you can do, like, if you're a high volume call center, you can do like round robin, where it like starts, assigning the tickets to the next person, so it's fair and everyone gets the same amount of tickets. You can also set it skilled for your agents to say, okay, so and so is skilled with, product A escalation, and so if any ticket that is marked as that, have it automatically assigned to that person. Or not. You can just have everything go into an unassigned queue. Maybe you have somebody monitoring that to triage it and they want to assign it, or just you trust your agents to go in there and just, pick up tickets throughout the day. You can also set SLAs. SLA stands for service level agreement. And so basically those are your internal requirements for dealing with your clients with these tickets. So for example, we have an SLA to respond within 8 business hours of a ticket submitted. Now yours might be a lot smaller than that. It might be 30 minutes or maybe even 15 minutes. So, and then, you might have a different rule for the overall time that a ticket takes to resolve. And now we're mentioned about those different departments is if you set up different departments, you can have different settings for these things as well. Keep in mind on your forms that either your agents use or that your end users fill out, you can make those forms dynamic. So, they either grow depending on what the person chooses, or they'll shrink or not show things that don't apply. We all know the longer the form is, less likely they will fill it out. So just some highlights of things. One thing that I have not seen a lot of people using in Desk is blueprints in Desk. Blueprints are a little different than in CRM. In Desk, they focus on your ticket statuses. And I'm going to demo that a little bit, but I just wanted to show you quickly here. And so it's here in the slide deck if you happen to download it. And then also one of the things that just got launched brand new, I believe it came out 2 days ago publicly, is what's called guided conversations. And I put this together. I got early access to it. I put this together in about 2 hours or so, a good first draft. And there is another chat option that previously existed before this, and that is still there. If you're using Sales IQ, you still have that option. This is just an additional feature. Like I mentioned, if you current Desk users logged in today, things look quite a bit different. They launched the new interface today. Just a little sneak peek of some of the items there. If you log in, you should probably start getting a bunch of pop-ups, announcing this. If you happen to dismiss the pop-ups, I put the URL there so you can find it. All right, so I'm going to go into the demo. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so someone asked a question. What is the purpose of rebranding a support email address in Desk? For instance, aspentech@at.com, aspentech@atzohodesk.com. So, okay. So they're asking about email addresses. When you set up a department, you have to set up an email address for that department in Desk. And you can use that the way it's set up, but it has the domain says Zoho Desk in it. You can override that and have, it use your domain, like at aspentech.com, more white labeling. So it's more your brand as opposed to Zoho Desk. It's not required. It's more about how you want your customers to interact with you. For example, maybe you have an email address that you're using for another program already, or it's just going into, an Outlook inbox or something, and you want to continue using that because that's what your clients are used to. You can continue to use that as a little setup. All right, so let me get into the demo real quick. Check in the time here. Okay. So first things first, like I mentioned, I am planning to show you what it would look like from a end user perspective. Somebody that's not at your company, traditionally someone who's not at your company, and ways they could be looking for information or support from you. So in this case, in the background, I have what it would look like to an agent, but I'm going to hide that for a second. So right here, I opened up a different browser here, and you can see here, maybe someone goes to your website. This happens to be our Tech website. And in our case, in our Zoho desk, we have two departments set up. So, someone could go to Zoho support and then they could fill out this web form, and that in turn could create a ticket in Desk. Another thing you might want to do is set up chat features. Now, I mentioned that traditionally this is for IT support, but I also threw out there your sales and marketing team is you could use a Desk for a sort of making landing pages, making forms, processing leads, especially if those leads have a lot of email communication back and forth. It might be a great location. So in this case, I have this product page here. I have this little icon here. Hey, need help. If I click on that, it goes to some shortcuts to my help center, which I'm going to go to in a second. But there's also a chat feature here. In this case, remember I mentioned the new feature that just came out, the guided conversations. This is it's going to automate some responses here. And I'm going to show this to you, like how it works in more depth in a few minutes when I get into the back end. Like I mentioned, if you want to start preventing some of these tickets, you might want to set up a help center for your users. Now, in this case, you notice here, I'm not signed in. These settings are up to you. If you want this to be, open source to everybody on the web, great, no login needed. But you could say, no, everything's locked down. I want it to be more like a portal where I control who has access to what. You can pick and choose, and you can also do kind of a hybrid environment. So you could say, well, my knowledge base or my articles are available without logging in. But if someone tries to create a ticket, it's going to force them to log in or sign up to log in, or some sort of in between. So knowledge base would be just your predefined articles. Someone needs to go here, they need to reset a password. Here's the link to how to do it. And hopefully this avoids having some tickets coming in. Notice here, you can set it up so that your end users can rate these articles. In a second, I'll show you how to see those. Also, if I go back to the community, you can set up kind of those interactive type chats. So, if I go, and you can do this by department or by certain subjects, it's up to you. Have those groupings. So, whoops, I think I clicked on the wrong one. Oh, I think I need to log in. Here we go. Here's the one I was looking for. So, basically here someone has posted a question. I'm having trouble resetting my password. I have it set up to allow other logged in users to respond. So this is actually not an agent responding, where Tracy is a agent, and she responded and said, okay, here's a link to this article. You can also, set up obviously for people to create tickets in here as well. So if I'm logged in, I could go to my area. I could see other tickets that I have I have submitted in the past or this user, I can also create a new ticket. And based on how many departments you have set up, you could have different forms, or you could have one form that kind of funnels things into different departments. And then I could start filling this out, and this would create a ticket inside Desk for the agents as well. Now, another thing you might do is maybe you have a strong presence on Facebook or maybe on Instagram or something, and you want to communicate with those people live. You could do that via Desk. So in this case, this company that I'm demoing in happens to be a bakery. So maybe they post a lot of really, mouth-watering pictures on Instagram or something, or on Facebook. And so maybe they have a lot of traffic coming into their site. So in this case, this person logged in on Facebook, went to their Facebook page, and they initiated a private message, which you can see I have an agent discussing back and forth with them. I also wanted to show you here. Let's see, where did I put that? That one of the brand new features as well is instant messaging in Zoho Desk. This happens to be Zoho Assist. Remember I mentioned the remote viewing where you can remote into people's computers? In this case, I'm remoting into my iPhone here. So I brought up WhatsApp. I always forget the name. I always get WeChat and WhatsApp mixed up. All right. So you can see that a potential client started chatting with this as well. One thing I also want to point out while I'm here on my phone, Dust does have a really good app for your phone. If you're interested, remember I mentioned we have two departments with our settings. This happens to be my app. The little widget showed me what tickets I've opened. I made a couple here without, so there's no real client information. So I'm just opening on a ticket. I can, reply, email, change properties, change the status, reassign this to someone within the app as well. Thanks, Marshall, for answering some of those questions. All right, just let me look at my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, yeah, one other thing is, you can also very, very, very quickly with almost one click, if on your community, set a chat feature as well. And this is going to come up for an agent to respond in here as well. So if you don't want to go through and set up the more advanced chat bots, you can set up a very simple one very easily in the Help Center as well. I was on a webinar with Zoho, a couple weeks back. I want to say, don't quote me on this, I want to say over 60% of their tickets come in via chat. So it's something to seriously think about there. All right, so I'm just looking to see if there's any unanswered questions. All right. So going into the live demo portion of, what would this look like to an agent? So like I mentioned very early on in the demo, a lot of your settings, the first thing you want to think about is, do you want multiple departments? And I like to bring that up because you're going to see me doing this drop down quite a bit. And if I go into the settings area, you're going to see me changing departments a bit there as well. So if I went here, this is the tickets area. If I go here to all departments, these are going to be tickets for open. This happens to be my open tickets, regardless of what department. I have access to multiple departments. I can change views and stuff like that. I can change, I just want to see, this department's tickets and so forth. And again, like I mentioned, you can have it where certain agents can only work in certain departments or multiples. I'm going to quick go across here, but keep in mind that this ticketing area is where your agents are going to quote unquote live most of their time. So, like I mentioned, in the help center, we have the knowledge base where we have our KB or help articles. Now, keep in mind here that there's probably a lot more than showing on the help center, because we can also have internal KB articles, like to help your agents use Desk, or help your agents, or maybe you have internal processes that you want your agents to use, or just miscellaneous things, how to fix this odd bug, things like that. And there's little filters here, like do I want to see publicly accessible ones, KB articles for agents only. I can see certain stats, like how popular are these articles. And you can even set it up to allow users to thumb up and thumb down your articles. And if I click on one of these, let's see, let's go back. And like I mentioned, remember these departments. Maybe I just want to see the KB articles for this particular department. It's only going to have a couple up there. You're going to see that this one has 2 likes and 1 dislike. If I go to edit here, I can change the article, and this is a pretty simple and short one, but it could be as pretty long and formatted. You can even make like table of contents, and it jumps, to further down in the document. If you've ever been in Zoho's, help area, this is most likely their back end or similar to it. There are certain dashboards, like, okay, what has been the activity in the last 30 days, last 7 days, things like that. Remember I mentioned you can do feedback. So I want to see, okay, I had 1 negative review that said, I didn't like this article that didn't have enough information, basically. So let's say you have a lot of negative reviews on an article, or you have that article out there, it's front and center, on the help center, but you're still getting a lot of requests for those things. It might be a cue that you might need to rethink that help article. Now, customers are the people that have requested help through the help center. There is an integration between Zoho CRM and Zoho Desk if you'd like to, but it is not required. If you happen to have it set up, you can go to a contact and you can see what tickets that person has had open all time, certain types of tickets, certain statuses, what have they, given you good ratings or not. And there's even a shortcut to create a ticket from here. And anybody can do this, even if they're not a Zoho user. Let's say you have, your front end person answering the phone line. They don't have access to Desk proper, but they could go into CRM and start filling out the form as the person on the phone. And then this would go into the ticket queue for your agents. Or they could make it and transfer the phone call to an agent or something like that. All right, let's go back here. All right, we have one question. Are we able to merge departments? The short answer to that is no. The long answer would be we could probably find some hacks There are ways to transfer tickets between departments, but you can only do it one ticket at a time. And we might be able to make like some sort of automation to do it, like a one-time automation to get all those tickets over. But yeah, I would recommend really paying attention to your departments first. Now, keep in mind, you can always shut down a department and, and just start funneling people through other departments. Okay. Like I mentioned before, just like similar like you can do in CRM, like if I happen to know, I can look up someone. I can look up to see like how many tickets they have open currently, what their ratings are, and so forth, also in Desk. I can also see if they are a portal user. I think my other one, Austin is a portal user. Or yeah, see here, that means that Chris has a login in my help center. And you can also send invites to the help center to these people. You can either automate sending invites to the help center, or you can just manually send out invites as well. Activities is kind of like a calendar. One question I had recently was, is there a more traditional calendar view, like with your days and weeks grid? Right now, no, but if that's big thing to you, please put in a request to Zoho. Squeaky wheel gets the oil kind of thing. But think of this as like a to-do list or, activities that have been scheduled. Now you can do these independently. Like I just have a to-do that I need to do. It's not related to a ticket. But most of the time you would create a ticket and then you'd make a activity related to that ticket. And then you could come here and look at all of your to-dos regardless of which ticket. Like I mentioned on the help center, this is where you can see your sections, your comments. You can see certain statistics for your help center. How many comments are you getting, and so forth. Oh, let's put this all some data in here. Go. So where's our community statistics? I mentioned Facebook, social media presence. If you want to create tickets or not, you could just reply to chats in here. So here is my Facebook feed of the posts that are going out. I could see, who has been commenting on these, how many likes I have, so forth. If I want to chat or reply to someone else's comment here, I could even reply directly in here to that person. Or if they happen to message my company account privately, I could communicate with them live in Desk immediately. There is an option to manually create a ticket. In this case, I already did. I already created ticket 176 here. Do a little preview to the ticket, or I can do a shortcut to the ticket and go out here as well. Or I could stay in here and just talk to them if it doesn't need follow-up or tracking for that matter. Chat is the original way you set up chat with Desk. The original way, not including that guided conversation things I'm going to show you in a minute. This was originally set up using Sales IQ. It kind of piggybacked off of another program in CRM Plus or Zoho One. In this case, this is the chat I initiated when I was showing you the help center here. Or I think I did this one earlier this morning. And then you can set it to either automatically create tickets or, have certain criteria for when it does or does not officially make the chat a ticket. Messaging. This is the one, remember I showed it on my iPhone where we had the WhatsApp chat going back and forth. I showed WhatsApp because actually there's a really easy sandbox configuration you can set up if you just want to play around. Maybe you don't even have a company, WeChat account yet, or WhatsApp account. Then, you could just play around with this. And again, you could reply right in here. And again, you can, set up, commonly used messages to save time and things of that nature. So analytics has to do with, your statistics and reports. So there are various like dashboards that are out there. Like one I like to show is the customer happiness one. You can set this up to have clients be able to rate agent performance after every outgoing email, or you can have them rate you after you close a ticket as well. Let's do last 30 days. So in this case, I've had, let's see, four reviews in the last 30 days. 3/4 of them were good and one kind of neutral response. All right, let me see if there's any questions. Why can't we edit the UI for contacts in Desk? Or in, are you talking about this view here? Yeah, I'll be honest. I think the context area could use a little work. But keep in mind that you can set up custom views to query by certain types of clients. If that helps you out, you can also remember to limit them by department. If I didn't quite answer your question, feel free to respond to the video response. Okay, add additional fields in the contact module. I don't believe you can do that right now. I would not rule that out forever. I can't really go into detail what's in the pipeline, but I have a feeling that that's in the works at some point. One thing that you could do, especially if you have the CRM integrated, one thing we do is, we have ours integrated quite heavily. So if you have the tickets area and let's say I open one of these tickets, we have it set to we made custom fields in here that are some like important contact fields over in CRM, and we set up workflows and customizations or custom functions to push that data in. Now, keep in mind that if you also have the CRM integration, you can also see most all of your fields here, and there's also even a shortcut to go to this person in CRM. And vice versa. You can also see the tickets inside CRM, like I mentioned. Now, once you start having your tickets come in through these various channels, then you would start having views. Again, like I mentioned, you can have the view show, all departments or just a certain department. Depending on if you're in all departments or just a certain one, you have more options of how it looks. Like this table view is not available for all because some of the fields might be different amongst departments. All right. So in this case, I have one ticket in my unassigned queue. So maybe I come here, I could, either click on this or just preview the ticket. I could even start working from in here as well if I wanted to. Or I could go ahead and maybe I'm a manager and I just want to assign this to Tracy or myself. And then you could start going through your open tickets. And again, there are out of the box views, and you can star those and they'll go up into your top area. And once they're starred, you can reorganize these. So in this case, maybe I want to start working on one of these tickets. I can also change views from here. I'm going to do my open tickets. Let's go to this one. So this one happens to be the chat one that it made for me. This is more of a traditional ticket where someone filled out the web form or they sent an email into my support email address and it created the ticket. In this case, they emailed an attachment. I could, reply to this person. Like I mentioned, some of those shortcut type features you can do. I personally heavily use snippets. Snippets are ways to not have to type frequently. So maybe this is a new client, you have certain canned messages that you send out for those sorts of situations. Keep in mind, this is a brand new feature. I believe this is similar to the guided conversations, but it's like internal to Desk to help your agents find like KB articles and stuff. As you start putting those knowledge base articles in here, you can either search directly in here for a KB article that might be applicable to this issue coming in or something you want to send out. Maybe this is a password type thing. I could share the link to this. So I can say, hi, Kelly, here's the link to help you reset your password and so forth. Or you can also paste in the text of the KB article as well, directly in the email. You can set up default signatures. The signatures can be different by department. So let's say, you set up departments by your product lines and you want different logos or something like that. I send out an email to this client. You can see I have some workflows going on in the background doing custom functions. And then as someone replies, I can go back to my open ticket list. And anything where it has this bold look means that I have not seen that ticket or I have not looked at that ticket since there's been a customer reply. One thing they did do is they made it so you can mark it as unread. So, you read it, but you want it to pop out to remember to go back to later kind of thing. Also, one thing that you can also do is you can set up templates for replies. Like maybe you have a more formal letter, like maybe, you set up an appointment to meet up with this person. I can, like in this case, I set up one template here for this department. So this is it has merge fields for it to fill in, like who's going to contact you, what phone number they're going to call you at, and a link to the ticket as well. There's a little shortcut to see comments that have been already created on this ticket or do it immediately. You can also do that from here. So let's say I send this out. These all go to me, so don't worry, I'm not spamming someone. So, I can create a comment, internally to this department. I can mention another person. Maybe I want my other is Teresa. I'm assigning this to you because of why. Please do this. And what's here is private, so this means that the end user will not see this ever. You can also do public comments. One extra step, you go here and then you hit public here. In this case, this will show in the help center. And if you have it set up for notifications, it can also send the text of it to the person as well, if they're not using the help center, but you have to set up those notifications. I've done X on your server. So you can see quickly that this is a private comment and this is a public comment. So let's say I get through most of this ticket, things are done. I can do a resolution here, say, I did X, Y, and Z. Now keep in mind that the resolutions will show in the help center regardless if you click this notify contact. We do have a hack if you don't want the resolutions to ever show to the client. For some reason, like you maybe put a lot of internal notes in there that you wouldn't want them to see, give us a heads up. We have a way where we can do that where they will never see it. All right, so some other features, I'm just checking the time. I'm going to quickly go through these. I mentioned that the guided conversations was new out today. In this case, I threw this together in about maybe 2 hours or something, just playing around. So in this case, I started out a chat feature, and this is a chat bot. So an agent is not doing any of this live. So what you can do is you can go in here, you can go to preview. Obviously, you can build things out. I can say, okay, what does this look like from a client's endpoint? Starting off the chat, it says, hey, here's some popular KB articles. Maybe we can even avoid this entire chat. Maybe they can just go to the password reset article. Or maybe they do want to put in their information. And now we're collecting information for what eventually, could be used to route them down different paths in here, or eventually to create a ticket in Desk. And as you see, it's showing me where I am on the chat. So it's, do you want to provide your phone number? No. Do you know your account number? No. And then this is going to be fed into my form. One of my questions on my form is my category and subcategory. So they can start picking things out. And then they answer the question, can you provide X? In this case, I have it set up to create a ticket, but you could say, okay, have this transfer to a live agent, have this create a ticket, have this do another thing, or you can even do custom programming and other API calls as well. So in this case, even though this was a little demo walkthrough, it actually made a ticket 189. So if I go over here to all my departments, I think this is the customer service one. Yep, 189. And it started creating a ticket. It knew all right. So just some other things I wanted to point out quickly. I know we're running short on time. Is I mentioned that you can do blueprints in Desk as well. It is a little different than if you've done blueprints in CRM before. It is based on your ticket statuses. So here the status is open, on hold, close, and again these can be customized as well, and they can be different by the department as well. So here it's open, then I have on hold status, awaiting on customer, close resolved, close no response, close unresolved, and these can be all customized. And then, on these things, like in this case, if anything goes to close resolved, I have it set to force it to put in the resolution on the ticket. If I'm in and you can have, all your tickets go through blueprints, or you can just have certain ones. Like in this case, I have it set to only go in if the ticket name contains the word blueprint. Now in this case, this happens to be active, and you see it's the blueprint because I can't manually change the status. So down here, these are my options according to the blueprint I set of what I can or can't do. So I'm going to put this on hold. I want to escalate it. And depending on how you set up these transitions, you can require fields to be filled out. Like I mentioned, if I wanted to do close resolved, it's going to force me to put in a resolution. And again, let's say this is open, and for some reason it got into this blueprint flow and it doesn't really apply. Certain users can override that and say revoke the blueprint. So, but this can't be undone. So, once it's out, it's out. So I'm going to say, okay, take me out of the blueprint, and then now it's just acting like a normal ticket with free reign. It's this area at the bottom went away. Quickly, I want to mention that you can also set up workflows and custom functions. In this case, this is one I set up. I wanted to track, I made a custom field for last agent action. So certain things I considered would show that this ticket is either stale and not getting attention, or is getting attention by certain types of things. And so I have it set to update that field for the current time when certain things happen. But keep in mind, you could do custom functions with Deluge and as well. For example, like I mentioned, integrating those fields with CRM back and forth. We use custom functions to do that as well. All right, so let me jump back out to the slide deck, and so I can finish that up. And then we'll get to the Q&A. So one thing I also wanted to show you, I'm in the reports area, if you can push your Zoho desk data to Zoho Analytics. If you're on CRM Plus, Analytics is included, and also in Zoho One, obviously. You can push your desk data there. And in this case, I have a chart here that Christopher here made for a Zoho user group we did last month, where he compared Zoho desk data with Zoho books data. So, what is my revenue for a particular client compared to the amount of tickets I have with that client? And you could do things like, what's my revenue compared to, my first response rate or my customer happiness ratings that I'm collecting in Desk. So where to start? One thing I have been mentioning several times is, I would say the first thing to think about is if you want more than one department. I'm not saying you can't add them later, but if you know offset, I would plan on that. Think about which channels you do or don't want to use. What are your current methods for getting tickets? Do you want to keep that, or do you want to push people towards a different method? Do you want to use the help center? Do you want the help center to be public, more of a portal, they have to log in to do everything, or some sort of hybrid? And then also think about the integrations you want to use. Do you want to integrate Desk with CRM? Do you want to integrate Zoho Analytics? Do you want to use other Zoho integrations? or even third-party programs. And keep in mind that we can also do custom integrations via the API. In these 3 examples here, idea 1 was, a company that's only going to have a single department. They're going to have a help center where they do not have to log in to see the help articles or the knowledge base, but they do have to log in to create a ticket. And then maybe later on, they might consider adding a chatbot. Now, the 2 at the bottom here, Starter 2A and 2B, are virtually identical. The only thing different is how they set up their departments. So, in this case, they have 2 departments, one by product A, another by product B, and then this one is by team and so forth. In this case, they have not set up their help center yet, so they have 2 web forms, one for each department on their website, similar to like I showed you our website, those 2 web forms. So, there's only my little illustrations are only of 4 points, but keep in mind that you're not limited to just 4. This is just for example purposes. And you can grow as well, start simple and then, get more complicated as you go. So how can we help? First off, maybe you're not sure what you want to do. You're not sure what your strategy is. Maybe you're new at doing support. Feel free to ask us. We can do either just help you with little things, how-to type questions, or we can do a full discovery and help you set up your entire process. Anywhere from small to a very large project. We can help you analyze your desk data, like I mentioned, setting up reports in analytics. We can help you customize your forms so you can help your clients or your agents, process these things faster. We can help you set up your help center in certain ways, and we can help you automate things as well, especially if you need those custom functions in Deluge written and other workflows, automation workflows. All right, so I'm going to look through here and find any unanswered questions. Okay, got a few of them here. Okay, we answered the merging departments. Someone was saying that they had an issue with duplicates with thinking contacts. Well, if you have any issues, let us know. We might be able to troubleshoot that. All right, it looks like some of these other were just general comments, not actual questions. All right, yeah, great. Yeah, feel free to give us a call or put in a help us ticket with us and we can help you out there. All right, just looking at the time here. Looks like we're a few minutes over the hour. Again, I feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, you need any support, whether that's just a few questions here and there, or you really need a lot of help, or maybe you want to design it and have us build it kind of thing. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Keep in mind, again, those of you that have Zoho One, this is included in your Zoho One account. Also, Zoho Assist, that remote viewing tool, is also included in Zoho One. If you're on CRM Plus, Zoho Desk is included, but Zoho Assist is not. And and maybe you're not even a CRM user. You can get a standalone version of Desk. Lots of IT companies do that. Or, if you really just want to play around or you have very simple needs, there is a very limited feature version of Zoho Desk, basically a basic ticketing system. All right. I'll stay around if there's any other last minute questions. Otherwise, I just want to thank everyone for coming today. And this was recorded. I will send out a follow-up email with a link to the recording and some of the materials as well if you missed downloading the slide deck and such. Thanks everyone for coming today. Appreciate it. Thank you, Marshall, for helping with the questions.